Hey guys, welcome back to JHR Studios. Today I figured we'd do something different and cover the model trains in lore and whatnot. So I figured we'd do that. This is kind of like that trend going on TikTok and YouTube Shorts of people drawing their o.cs without trauma. But, I can't draw. Plus, it lets me get into lore. So, yeah, enjoy. So first, we will be talking about UP, or Jack, or 4432, since, he's kind of technically the main character of the series, in my eyes. Let's say he was out without trauma. He probably probably wouldn't have been sold to the railway. Or, if he was sold to the railway, he wouldn't have had a nasty crash back about, 3 years or something after he came. And thus, he probably, he'd still have his original front coupler, all dressed up in black and everything. But let's say our, alternate universe take here, he doesn't go to the railway at all. So, that stops the crash in his early years from happening. Me from going through cringe videos. Oh, nobody's gonna get that joke. But, he'd probably work as a switcher for Union Pacific. They try and preserve him, but he'd most likely be scrapped around the 1980s due to an incident where he was left unrepairable. So, yeah. Reese, number 3 of the railroad, would have been, bought by their older owners, or bought off of their older owners instead of going to the railroad, because they were never needed. The railroad found a different locomotive or something, I don't know. So basically, Reese was never needed for the railway, so they kept on being owned by their owners, were bought by a preservation group, and were later sold off to Santa Fe, and ran tourist services for about 3 years back in the 1970s, and they would go on to be put into preservation as a static museum piece. So, yeah. Smokey Joe will be the last engine for this video, because I ain't covering any more for the time being. Unless you guys want that, so let me know. But either way, Smokey Joe will be the last. If Smokey Joe wasn't traumatized, he wouldn't have watched Switchy, the truck from the last model episode. The one that's like really freaking dark, because, I can, and it's really dark. Again, nothing to do with me, but just I wanted to write something dark. So, yeah, he watched it. He, watched Switchy die, Switchy the truck. So, he wouldn't have seen that, I guess. I suppose he wouldn't have been bought by the railway either, really. Let's say he keeps working for British Railways and isn't told about all of his brothers dying. So that's canon. He knows all of his brothers are pretty much gone. Yeah. He doesn't talk about with the other engines, just something, he's constantly got on his mind. He was one of the lucky few to escape, so, he wouldn't have known that. But he would have suffered a boiler explosion back in 1946, we'll say. The years are really rough, so, because this is all theoretical. It's not canon. He didn't suffer a boiler explosion, no, but, The idea is that he doesn't get a happy ending, because not everybody gets a happy ending. But he wasn't entirely traumatized, though. The idea is that he's not traumatized, and technically he isn't. He died before he realized he was having a boiler explosion. So, Still really dark, though. So, yeah. He doesn't really get a happy ending. And, on him not knowing whether his brothers died or not, you can debate whether that's, a good thing. The idea is that it's not that these characters have good endings. Not to say they won't, not to say they will, but the The idea is that the characters aren't traumatized, and technically I've been writing that. Listen, just because I mentioned UP gets scrapped sometime the 80s, 70s, I don't remember. It's been a hot minute. It doesn't mean he had a bad end. He had a fairly decent working life, you know? I'd say it was pretty good. So, you know what? Not every engine has a happy ending, though. So, yeah. If you guys want more of these, let me know. Or don't. Whatever. See ya.